Okay, today is one of those videos where unfortunately I'm unable to film the entire replacement of this thing, as I was stuck in a parking lot, I don't know, 40 miles from here in the rain when I had to replace this. So a little background, because now the wind's going to start blowing. Great. So I don't know, let's say even maybe a couple of months ago, maybe I had an issue where when you try to start it, it would start a little slow, turn over a little slow. Well, in the past, that generally means my positive battery cable is a little loose, and the reason for that is, let's see, what do I need? 16ths of that. And I've done a video on this before. Because of this double cable setup, this thing will work its way loose and it'll get corrosion in there and all kinds of stuff. So I was out of town, miles, 100 miles away from anything where I was going, and I refueled this thing, and when I went to start it, it just kind of went vroom, vroom, vroom. And I said, oh crap, and I tried it again, and it turned over and started up. So I continued to my destination. Came out. Oh, before I shut it down, when I got to where I was going, I put my meter on here to make sure that first it was charging. I had 14.75 or something like that, 14 volts. You got to have over 12 volts for it to charge. And then when I shut it down, I checked it, and it had 12.75 volts. So battery's good. Cables I was able to move a little bit, so I tightened up the cables. Actually, I loosened them up a little bit. In my case, the 5/16 nut part on here is shot, so I just get a pair of pliers or something, grab onto this big one and loosen it a little bit, moved them both against each other just to break up any corrosion, whatever might be on there, tightened it back up. Good. Thought, okay, hopefully that's it. Next day I was able to start it, hunky-dory, go back to where I was going. Still 3 hours away from home. I decided if it started, I wasn't going to shut it down. The little voice said, do not shut it off on the way home. You can gas it up and go through drive-thrus, whatever. So everything was going along. Got, like I said, I don't know, 50-60 miles from here, and violated what my little voice told me to do, and actually went to a place and shut it down. Came back out, and all I got was a clicking. So I ended up in the rain underneath this thing in a parking lot, pulled the starter down a little bit. It sounded to me like it was, the solenoid was locked. The Phoenix had come out and the gear was actually locked in the flywheel. Put it back up, still same old click, 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 nothing. The battery's working good, you can hear it. Solenoid hitting hard, but nothing. So I knew I had a lifetime warranty on this thing. I just didn't know where I got it from, so I proceeded to call while I was sitting there in the rain inside the truck here, trying to find out if I got it advanced or AutoZone, and called all the places around, and nobody said, oh no, we don't see anything anywhere. Of course, when I got home, I found the paperwork from 14 months ago, so I'm going to go have a nice talk with them. I went ahead to advance, which was 2 miles, ended up a 4-mile walk in the rain, but came back in and changed this thing out in the parking lot. The only starter they had was this cheap remanufactured one for $100 anyway, so as it turned out, that was my only choice, but I'm still not happy. I'm going to take it back and see maybe I can get that one for free, since I had paid $175. It's actually $166 14 months ago for a lifetime warranty one, which did not last a lifetime. It only went 13,000 miles and 24 months. So that I'll do an update on. Anyway, so what you got to do, I will go over the replacement. First thing you do is you got to take this negative terminal off of here. This is a 5/16, and if in my case the 5/16 was working, I think we wore it out this last time, but take the negative battery cable, stick it up here so it doesn't catch anything. The reason you want to do that is because the battery cable that goes to the starter is hot. As you see, it's connected to the positive terminal there, so it means it's got 12 volts. It means if you take that cable off and bump it up to anything, it's gonna short out. So what we need, this is the starter. This is mounted up in there. As you will see when I get up in there, it's which direction am I in? I'm climbing up, and it's hard to tell because it's up in here like so. So you're going to be looking at it like this. These bolts, the big bolts, are 14 millimeter, which you can get with a ratchet and extension if you have one, which is the easiest way to do. Another odd thing is I'm putting these thing back in there, the whole starter's wobbling. It's like my starter bolts are bent a little bit, and I don't see how that could be. Anyhow, this nut on here, which is that big positive cable, is what, a 13 millimeter, which the easiest way to do it is get in there with the ratchet. I will try to demonstrate that. There's another wire that goes on here, which is this little thing here. It's an 8 millimeter, which is the solenoid wire, which goes underneath this guard. There's a guard, and I'll show you, that goes on here. One of the parts goes on here, which has got this nut on it, which is also, is that 8 millimeter? No, it's not. It's a 3/8 for some reason. 3/8 for that. And then the front of it goes on these funny little tiny studs, which I don't know what size those are. They're an internal little tiny 12-point socket or whatever. I'm not sure what size those are. I used a pair of pliers, got a hold of them, twist them from the top, put them off by hand. You change that one here. So whenever you get the starter off of here, by far the safest thing is to get the replacement starter in your hands and installed before you ever take this one back or give it back to them. So it's not like take it off. That's interesting. Which I could have done is take it off, which I did already before I went down to get the other one. And I could have taken this down there and got my $40 core charge. That was only $10 for this one. And walked off and forgot something, left it on the starter, and have to do the whole thing over again. So you always want to keep the old part until you have the new one installed and working. So I will try to demonstrate. Can I do it with all those? That's the 8 millimeter. I don't need that. 5/16 for the battery. So once you have the battery cable off, yeah, I'm not going to touch it because it's hot, but I'll get in here and show you. Hopefully, wait, let me get my little flashlight. Hold on. So by far, focusing, the most fun part was doing this in a wet parking lot. But the beauty of trucks, as I'm sure you know if you have one, is that you can slide your butt all the way up under here. There's your starter. So what I did, once that positive battery cable was disconnected, is I reached up there with my ratchet and took that nut off, pushed that off to the side, took these two 14 millimeter head bolts off. The starter kind of goes this way and will point down and come out, and then you can reach up to that wire you cannot see, it's behind there, to get the little solenoid wire off. And you take this whole thing out of here, and there's the guard that stretches across the top of that. You take that off. I said the one side you got to use a pair of pliers or whatever if you have one of those little tiny sockets to take those little tiny screws out, and that one nut that comes off that one stud. It's a through stud. Change that guard over, slide it back up in there. You can kind of leave it hanging on here while you put that little wire on. Now you got to get that little wire on there. Well, look at that. As I'm sitting here, that wire is sitting on the exhaust manifold. That is not good. What that's telling me is that wire needs to go on the inside here, which means I have some work to do. Okay. So that means what you need to do is put that little wire that goes to the solenoid. It goes right here. I'm going to have to go up there, disconnect the negative battery cable, take this positive cable off of here so I can get this one. I'm going to take that loose, bring that wire over on this side, because that, I did not notice that yesterday. That wire is right up against the exhaust manifold and it's going to melt it. I wasn't sure when I was putting it up in there, so make a note of that. This wire, it should be on this inside here. It's coming off of that. Very interesting. Okay, well, I'm glad I'm under here looking at this because I got to fix that. Alright, so anyway, put it back. When you get it back up in here, put that wire on this side of the guard. Wow. Well, that's what happens when you're in the rain trying to get home. So it's going to go up under here. That wire will come right out of there, and then I'll put that right back on there. Anyway, so once you do that, you put the little wire on there. You can put this, install it, put the 14mm bolts in there. It goes up in there. You can see how it fits up in the hole. Generally, you kind of get around with one hand. I always put my hand up or over the top here and holding it up with my fingertip to get those bolts lined up. Once you get them lined up, they go right up in there, and then you can put, the last thing I did was put that positive cable on there. So that was about it. It's hard to do it underneath here, but actually if you got to do it, you got to do it. It's not too bad. So now I gotta go pull that thing off there and fix that. Well, I'm thinking about it. Huh, interesting. And of course it's starting to rain. How appropriate. Anyway, there is the configuration. The wire comes on this side. Mind you, that positive cable has a spiky thing sticking out on the other side. That the cable has to basically go in that configuration. It has to fit down along that plastic. So you'll see when you put it up there, it's not just a flat end on it. You got a little spiky thing that's got to go on the other side. Anyway, so that's where it goes. The wire goes down this side, puts it on this side of the heat shield. I didn't pick that up yesterday and in my urgency. So that should be it. We got to go hook it back up, make sure this thing works as a last step. And something to watch for when you're putting this negative cable back on. That's going to probably spark just a little bit. You want to make sure that gets going straight. It's kind of hard to do. It's not straight there because it's lead where it screws into. So it's easy to cross thread it. So you want to make sure you get it started by hand, which means your thumb and forefinger starts to screw it in a couple turns, and it should be easy at that point. Starting to get mosquitoed. It started raining now. So once I get that, actually for some reason it's tightening up pretty good with the, that's not really. I have to give a final grab at that. Alright. The reason why I do the negative cable, because had you had the negative cable up and you're over here attaching the positive cable, anytime you touch the positive cable, that's got 12 volts, so if you have a wrench over here and you happen to brush up against something metal, it's going to short out. So negative cable, you can't short anything out because it's the ground. You touch the ground, no big deal. So you always take the negative cable off first, put the negative cable on last. And now for the final test. Let's see if it'll start. Alright, let's see what happens. Yes indeedy. Sounds good to me. No hesitation, no slowing down. So what that tells me is first couple of times the thing started dragging a little bit. Once I verified that my battery was good and the charging system was working, I would never really have guessed though. 30,000 miles, 14 months that a starter would go. It is a remanufactured starter, but that's pathetic. That was actually the expensive remanufactured starter, so maybe that was a Delco or something. I don't think so though. Anyway, that's about it. Good luck. If you want to help me out, like this video and subscribe, as they say. If you really want to help me out, there's places to donate some money down at the bottom in the description. Either way, thanks for watching. I hope that helps you out. The only part I wasn't able to show you is sticking that in the little hole, but the rest of the little details, I hope that'll help you out. Alright, good luck. Alright, the final part of the story. While I was down there turning my core in, I grabbed these new studs for the battery. Got to get one long one and two short ones come in a package. It's kind of a jip because setup is one long one, one short one, so you would think they would put them out that way, but no. So here's the deal. Here, I'll let you look at the ground here. Oh, we can look at that cool picture in the mirror. So the way it works, if you buy something online at Advanced Auto Parts, they don't have your warranty records in their system. So in my case, had I done what I wanted to do and would have not shut it down, come home, not shut it down, found the records for what I was looking for, which turned out to be a high-priced rebuilt starter with a lifetime warranty, I could have ordered one of those up and probably had to go down to the main store to get one. But that would have been under the full lifetime warranty. As it turned out, when I took my receipt back in there, they said, yep, it's online, we don't have any records of that. So the only thing I can think in that regard is to take pictures of the receipts, which is not a bad idea anyway. You'd have to copy it or take a picture of it because they fade out really fast, especially 10 years later. It's hard to read them. And just keep it in your phone with you, because for things like radiators, alternators, starters, batteries, whatever, batteries are generally marked on them anyway. But anything that's got a lifetime warranty on it, you'd behoove yourself to keep a picture of that receipt in your phone, so if you're traveling somewhere, you'll have it with you, or make a copy of it and stash it in your glove box or something. Keep records with you. Because like I said, once I'd shut it off, I was trapped into using whatever starter that I could get locally, and that one happened to be the only one they had was the cheaper rebuilt one. So let's see if it even makes it a year, since the good one only made it a year and 2 months. So I'm gonna take a picture of that receipt and keep it with me. So we shall see what happens, but that's the scoop on the warranty and why they couldn't find it, because I bought it online. So one good thing about Advance is they give you what they call speed perks rewards, and you get $10 off or $5 off depending on how much money you spend with them. I think it's $10 off for every 100 bucks. So I continuously get a $10 thing, and they send you out emails with 20% discounts for over 100 bucks. It used to be just 20% anyway. 15% I think for normal purchases, but the 20% over $100 ones are definitely worth it when you're buying stuff. So, and then the speed perks, you take 5 or 10 bucks off everything you buy in there generally when you get into that point. So anyway, that's about it. Hope you got something out of this. Till the next time.